Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party. The Honorable Patrick M. Shanahan, Acting Secretary of Defense. Ms. Lisa W. Hirschman, the Acting Chief Management Officer, and Mr. Michael L. Rhodes, Director of Administration Office of the Chief Management Officer. Please remain standing for the presentation of the colors by the Pentagon Force Protection Agency, the Honor Guard, the singing of the National Anthem by Gunnery Sergeant Sarah Sheffield, and the invocation by Pentagon Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Monica Lawson.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets in glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let us pray. Eternal and all-wise God, we invite your presence in this place as we acknowledge the retirement of your servant, Mr. Michael L. Rhodes. You've blessed him, O God, with 34 years of committed service to the defense of this great nation. We are thankful, O God, for the family members, friends, and colleagues who have gathered for this occasion. We ask, O God, that you would continue to bless the Rhodes family, for we are thankful for their many sacrifices. We are grateful to Mr. Rhodes for his dedication and untiring devotion to duty. We now ask, O God, that you would grant him a renewed and revived spirit as he moves forward on the journey that you have ordered and ordained for his life. We ask, O God, that he would always be proud of the role that you've allowed him to have in helping to keep America safe and free, for we know that to whom much is given, much is required. It is in your most holy and precious name that we pray. Amen.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to present Ms. Lisa Hirschman.
Good afternoon, everyone. To our distinguished guests, family, friends, and colleagues, welcome to today's retirement ceremony in honor of Michael L. Rhodes. Mike's federal career spans some 34-plus years, starting in 1984 when he enlisted in the Army. After 4 years in the Army as an NCO, he continued in civil service with the Army in Alaska, in New York at West Point, in Hawaii, and at Army headquarters. Then 4 years working at Southcom headquarters in Miami for the Marine Commanders. 4 years as the Deputy G1 of the Marine Corps at Quantico. And then Mike Donnelly brought him to the Pentagon for the privilege of the past 12 and a half years working for Secretaries Rumsfeld, Gates, Panetta, Hagel, Mattis, and now Acting Secretary Shanahan, and the leaders and representing the leaders and the people of this great department. For more than a decade, Mike has had the most tremendous task here at the Pentagon of leading organizations to meet the Secretary's intent, taking on complex organizational and management challenges, and with great partners, finding a way to effectively succeed for the institution. Mike, thank you for your leadership. We are truly grateful and have all benefited from your dedication and commitment to the service. You know, I have to say, when you shared your news with me, I didn't believe it at first. And I thought, it's kind of a cruel joke. And then I looked and realized that you weren't kidding. And I got past my selfish reaction, knowing that we were going to not have you anymore, and wanting and wishing you the best in your new endeavors for you and your family. I will tell you that you have left an amazing legacy here, and you are an institution. You will be a tough act to follow. Thank you for everything. It is now my distinct honor and privilege to introduce the host of today's ceremony, the Honorable Patrick M. Shanahan, Acting Secretary of Defense.
Lisa really does an amazing job. Thank you, Lisa. And first of all, just a big warm welcome to all of those of you that have gathered here today. And I'd like to recognize Secretary Hagel and Secretary Donnelly. You know, before we were walking in a few minutes ago, Secretary Hagel says to me, this is some of the advice I get, don't screw up. So I'll work real hard here to not screw up. And I did check with Mike before we came down here. This was, you know, I asked him, I said, you know, we can call this off, but I think he's set and ready to go. I would, before I make some formal remarks, just reflect for the family. I remember when my father retired, and very similarly spent, you know, many years of public service, and it was a really important day for the family. And I just want you to know how much we appreciate your father, your husband's contributions here to the department. I think Lisa said it beautifully, but it's a really big day for us in the department. It's a big day for this you know, wonderful man, Mike Rhodes, and we're here to honor him. I'll make some formal remarks here, but it's a big deal, and we're so proud of you, Mike, and all the things you've been able to accomplish. And we know there's a lot more in front of you, but we really will miss you. So maybe I'll read these formal remarks, and then I'll switch back to some other comments. But ladies and gentlemen, a special welcome to Mike and his family and his friends who've traveled down the hall and across the country today. It's a real pleasure for me to be up here honoring someone who's served the department for over 3.5 decades and providing service to our military community and to the Department of Defense. And Mike, you remember, it wasn't that long ago, it was about 18 months ago to the day that Mike swore me into the department, and here we are, full circle, and I'll be helping retire you out of the department. The oath he administered to me on that day represents a commitment to something larger than ourselves. Day in and day out, Mike demonstrates this commitment without hesitation, always putting our men and women in uniform and our military families first. Speaking of family, Mike's own family is joining us here today. Nikki, his wife, their children, Alex, Ashley, and Brennan, who I'm sure is getting good grades and will do quite well in college, and Mike's brother, EJ, who's traveled far to be here. Thank you for all making the effort and time to be with us. And thank you for loaning Mike to all of us for so many years. And I just know that the sacrifice and the dedication it takes to do the job that you had is tremendous. And there were plenty of birthday parties that were missed and soccer games. And even when you were there, you had to be thinking about all the other things that were going on here in the department. So as we know, the families make a huge contribution to all of our success. And we appreciate that commitment and dedication. Mike's work, though many times unseen, has unquestionably helped to keep our nation safe, proving a steady hand at the tiller through 5 secretaries of defense, as Lisa mentioned. I want to also acknowledge Mike's family for all they do in their own right to serve our country. Nikki works for the Defense Security Services. Ashley helps test new equipment for TSA. Alex works for the D.C. Superior Court, and her husband William works here in the Department of Defense. And to round it out, Mike's youngest, Brennan, wants to go into the Peace Corps and Foreign Service. Clearly, public service is a rite of passage in the Rhodes household, a mindset likely instilled during Mike's earliest days, born in Japan, where his father was stationed as an Army NCO. It's no surprise then that Mike has shown an unparalleled understanding of the demands we place on our military families during his tenure. He lived those demands. After childhood moves and a college degree, he followed in his father's footsteps and joined the Army. And after 4 years of active duty, he took his service in a different direction, supporting our military community as a civilian, serving from Alaska to, as Lisa described, just about every place here in the United States. Then he landed at the Pentagon, first as Director of Washington Headquarters Service and then as Director of Administration, where he's been an unmatchable force of personality and productivity for the last 12 years. And I can say this with the utmost confidence, no one knows the building better than Mike. Everyone here and throughout the Pentagon has felt the impact of his work. If his 3 presidential ranks, awards, and numerous other citations don't convince you of the fact, then take a look at his decade-long record of accomplishments as Director of Administration. In that role, Mike has successfully administered mission-critical Pentagon management and support involving 27,000 personnel here, as well as tens of thousands of DoD personnel in the National Capital Region who do not live on the bases. He's effectively integrated and led 3 large DoD operating agencies: the Pentagon Force Protection Agency, Washington Headquarters Services, and the DoD Adjudication Facility. The last is an organization he established to streamline the review of more than 1 million governmental security clearances per year. He served as a senior career official during the 2016 transition period, steadily shepherding DoD through a time of immense change. And he's done this all while teaching college business courses and lending his non-existent free time to the Stafford County Planning Commission. I must also mention the accomplishment Mike is most proud of from his time in the department: the implementation of a multi-year nationwide commemoration of our Vietnam War veterans. The last one holds particular meaning for me too. Because of Mike's leadership, our department has honored more than 2 million Vietnam veterans for their service, including both my and Mike's father. Because of Mike's initiative, the department has thanked more than 50,000 spouses for their sacrifices during the Vietnam era, including my own mother. Mike, on behalf of our nation, of a nation long overdue in its recognition of Vietnam veterans, thank you for making this issue a priority. And this and countless other examples make clear the Department of Defense is better for your service. Today, we lose a great administrator. More than that, we lose a great man. You never wavered from your commitments to our military, our civilians, and our families, and we could always count on you to ensure the department ran smoothly. So Mike, while you'll certainly be missed, we know your next stop is lucky to have you. And we wish you the best of luck as you open up that next new chapter. Thank you for all you've done. All right. Now the fun starts, right? So Lisa, if you'd join me up here, and Mike, if you'd come forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Attention to orders. Mr. Michael L. Rhodes is recognized for distinguished civilian service as Director of Administration, Office of the Chief Management Officer, from February 2017 to 2019. Throughout his distinguished federal career, Mr. Rhodes demonstrated sustained exceptional leadership, managing a vast array of complex challenges that resulted in tremendous quantitative and qualitative results for the Department of Defense. He constantly delivered distinct accomplishments with uncompromised support across the wide breadth of diverse functions. Through the continued Department of Defense, Office of the Secretary of Defense transition, and in the dynamic Office of the Chief Management Officer organization and leadership transition. In a complex, sensitive, and dynamic environment, he successfully oversaw and integrated two large, distinct, but complementary DoD operations, Pentagon Force Protection Agency and Washington Headquarters Services, with more than 2,300 employees, 2,000 contractors, and nearly $1.5 billion in operating budgets, and effectively executed critical actions of other special support for the Secretary of Defense, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, senior leaders, and key organizations. As a Department of Defense senior career official, Mr. Rhodes flawlessly performed senior management official responsibilities for the Pentagon Reservation, which included administering the oversight and management of organizations operating and supporting the department's most senior civilian and military leaders, and the 27,000 assigned personnel at the Pentagon, and a diverse breadth of official support requirements for the approximately 30,000 other DoD personnel and organizations in the National Capital Region, not on military bases. The distinctive accomplishments of Mr. Michael Rhodes accumulate a distinguished career and reflect great credit upon himself and the Department of Defense. the Secretary of Defense presents the Certificate of Retirement to Michael L. Rhodes in recognition of 34 years of dedicated federal service to the United States of America. Thank you, Secretary Shanahan. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Mr. Michael L. Rhodes.
First time I was in this auditorium, it was Deputy Secretary Gordon England, and we were doing a ceremony. It was a few months into the tenure, sir, and things didn't go perfect. People came from the left, they were supposed to come from the right, and he just kind of flowed with it. And afterwards I said, sir, I'm sorry, we'll get this straight. And he was like, Mike, nobody knows what we're supposed to be doing. It's fine, just go with it. So ever since then, I've learned to go with it. So Secretary Shanahan, sir, thank you very much for officiating this ceremony. You honor me, and I truly appreciate the time. From the first opportunity, as you said, swearing in and then through. I've appreciated working with you. And Secretary Hagel, my friend, sir, thank you very much for joining us today. You honor me as well and my family, and for all you did for my dad. Thank you, sir. Mr. Donnelly, depending on what people's perspectives are, this was your fault. So I'm not sure exactly. But Mr. Secretary, giving me the opportunity to come up here to be your deputy and the WHS director, and then to continue here in this great opportunity that Mr. Robert Rangel convinced Secretary Gates to allow me to do permanently, I can't thank you. It's been amazing transition of opportunities that have continued, and you were part of that there as well. And to everybody else, I can go down the line. I've got to stop, so I'm not going to do it because it will keep going. But thank you for being here. Thank you for joining with my family and honoring my family in being a part of this event. I have to take a minute though to thank all the others who helped make this event happen. I mean, there have been a lot of other people working, doing lots of weird things. I wanted to hand out these cards, so they were stuffing envelopes, and I mean, and I'll never get around to you. I just know I won't find you all to thank you, so let me just say thank you, because all that you've done to allow us to have this opportunity, and all you've done throughout the years to support this department, I just want to thank you. The Pentagon Force Protection Color Guard, they've done so many ceremonies and they do such an exceptional job and add such a special element to every event, seeing those colors come by, being able to put our hand on our heart as the national anthem is sung by the President's own, the beautiful voice that adds such solemnity to the event. And chaplain, that was our chaplain, by the way. That's the Pentagon Force Protection chaplain. Kind of, sort of, not really. Army doesn't think so, but that's what we think. So thank you very much for all you did to make this event. It's very odd to me to be thinking about the New York Yankees right now, because I'm a lifelong Boston Red Sox fan, so I can't figure out why this is coming to mind. But nearly about 80 or so years ago, Lou Gehrig, on Lou Gehrig Appreciation Day, when he was going to have to retire because of that illness. But he raised the words, said the words, something along the lines of, "Today I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth." And this is bittersweet, it's hard. I have to tell you, I can't imagine not coming to work here on Monday. But the experiences would make me the luckiest man on earth. So, but I don't know why I'm thinking about the Yankees. That's killing me. I have had the greatest opportunities anybody could have, and I have no idea why. When I was an NCO up in Alaska, there was a colonel up there who we were going from the 172nd Infantry Brigade to the 6th Infantry Division. This was under President Reagan. And we were activated. We're going to double our size, and we had to change the configuration of our bases, particularly Fort Wainwright, but as well Fort Richardson. And we needed to do a lot on the community support facilities. You'll recall that, General Meyer. We had to build up many things there to be able to support this. And we had some quirky requirements because operating in Alaska is weird, and it didn't fit any of the templates. And we actually had to come back and brief congressional staffers on the House Armed Services Committee, Will Cofer and a few others. And the colonel there said, Mike, start putting this together. We got to support this requirement. We got to explain the story. And I did. Why he let a staff sergeant do that, I don't know, but that was cool. And then I packaged it all up for him to take back there. He said, what do you think you're doing? You're coming with me. He brought me this NCO in my greens at the time. That was the uniform we were wearing, the Class A's, and marching up to the hill, and I briefed the congressional staffers. I mean, who gets that opportunity as an NCO? Who trusts somebody to be able to do that? But I had people who trusted me to do that. And it just kept going along. The opportunity to go to the Pacific, Mick Workman took me out there, a good friend, God rest his soul. I was only 32 years old. He wanted me to oversee the business programs for Hawaii, Alaska, and Japan for the support to our families. Coming back here with the successor and Community Family Support Center to help establish a public-private venture program. Then the privilege of going down to Miami when they were moving out of Panama to work for 2 Marine generals. I didn't know what Marines were like. I had to find that out. They were awesome, by the way. General Wilhelm and General Pete Pace. We did some really cool stuff there, and they just said, they let me run free. They said, figure out how we support folks down here and in all the places we're going to move out of Panama. Figure it out. Tremendous opportunities, tremendous breadth of trust, and I so appreciated that. Came up here to be the G1 at the Marine Corps. How do they let an Army guy do that? But somehow that worked. Got to be the acting G1 for over 6 months while we were at war. Just privileges by General Hagee and General Jones and General Parks and General Osmond for those opportunities. And then some guy I'd never heard of called me because Howard Beckard said, make a call. And Mr. Donnelly, Secretary Donnelly, interviewed me for a job that I didn't even know existed. And then waited 7 months while I said, I can't leave there because I'm the acting G1. And I can't leave the Marine Corps in a lurch, and I have to stay and do that. And he waited. I don't know why. I've had the greatest opportunities one could ever have, and I've been so lucky. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the people. The mission is amazing, but it's all about the people, family and friends, and that's who's here. That's who I've been able to experience throughout a lifetime. In fact, I want to start with family. I don't know where flowers are. I wanted to give flowers. Anybody know where flowers are? Yeah, there we go. We could. Thank you very much. So, Reds, please. Going down the river. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this. My daughters, Alice and Ashley, you guys are all over the world. Proud to say. Thank you very much. And the rest of our extended family was all. It's all about people when it comes down to it. I've been blessed with the greatest family there is. You can see them. They're gorgeous. They're awesome. And they've just allowed me to do whatever it is I thought I needed to do. And I thank them for that. And the rest of the family here. Look, people talked about a lot of things in the citations and accolades, and we all know, without a doubt, that it's because of hundreds and hundreds of other people who did that great work and accomplished those great things. That's the only reason I get those accolades. And I know it's for many others that represents. Those were all you, and you know it was all you that did all those things. But I just thank you, and I thank you for the way you've done them. I thank you for the way you do them, the partners that I've been able to have here in this building. I just appreciate it. I've got to call out 2 people, though. And I'm sorry that I'm not calling out others because I could do that forever. But when I first came up here, Pam Mirelson was your staff director for both the Director of Administration and Management and the Washington Headquarters Services at the time. And she just knew how to pull every string and put everything together, and she made you look a lot better than you were and made me look a lot better than I was. And then she was succeeded by your military assistant when he retired, Mr. Mark McNair, who is the magic man that makes everything happen in this building. If you haven't met him, sir, everybody in your front office knows who he is, because that's who they all call. It's not me, it's actually him. And I've been privileged to work with organizations. This is a big conglomeration. We've got corporate headquarters here that are Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps. We've got the agencies, we've got the Joint Staff, we've got OSD, you've got all those elements, but they've decided to co-locate their headquarters of the conglomeration right here in one location. And then we've got the hidden hundreds who make everything happen to allow, as you said earlier, sir, to allow everybody to fulfill your critically important missions and not have to worry about the secondary and tertiary things. They take care of those things, and there are hidden hundreds throughout. And the Pentagon Force Protection Agency, you've got officers on their posts who are dealing with about 40,000 people a day, whether it's coming in and out of this building or the visitors or crossing across the reservation or at the Mark Center or at the Court of the Appeals of the Armed Forces or at the Defense Health Headquarters. They got to be spot on all the time. They got to be professional, they got to be respectful, and they can never be wrong. And they do it. And there's others, there's a whole other fleet of folks in that agency there that are doing many other things with Joint Terrorism Task Forces, that are doing other threat assessments, and they just do an amazing job. And over in Washington Headquarters Services, you got everybody who's running the heating and refrigeration plant here. You got those folks at the loading docks. You got the others that are doing the review of every bit of congressional testimony and making sure it gets turned and nothing slips through there into the process. You got those who are doing the HR, the FM, the acquisitions processes, $1.5 billion there. You got those the craftsmen who are ready to repair and take care of every little thing. When one person leaves and somebody shows up the next morning, magically everything's been painted, every hole is repaired, everything's ready, the nameplate's on the wall. They do that stuff so that nobody else has to worry about it. They're amazing. The adjudications facility, when Secretary Panetta said, hey, do that. Create this thing out of 7 different rice bowls, make it into one for the department, and now it's doing clearances for most of the federal government. It's doing the adjudications and the reviews, and it will soon hand over to USDI and the Defense Security Service. Tremendous organization of professionals that came together to make sure that happens for this department. And then some of my favorite children, I'm sorry, but the commemoration effort. They just broke 2.3 million Vietnam veterans that have been personally thanked and honored in their hometowns and by organizations across this nation to right a wrong from 50 years ago when we failed them. But we're making up for it now. And as the Secretary said, another 50,000 spouses of those who have deceased. And they continue to work forward. They're charging through. They're not doing it themselves. They've worked a network of partnerships of 11,000 partners from national sports leagues through the individual localized VFWs. But they're reaching out, and they're continuing to march forward, and I'm so proud of them. And then the many partners here in this building. It's impossible to get there. Our Pentagon Governance Council appears, senior representatives from all the major components that we come together on these issues. The way they can professionally look towards issues that are not easy for them, but come to the right solution and continue to do that. So all those who are here and their predecessors, I just thank them for that partnership to allow us to be able to allow our leaders to focus on critical, awesome responsibilities that they have. It's about partnering. Nobody gets there together. And I've been privileged to have absolutely the greatest partners on earth. I have some business cards somewhere out here with my phone number and email address. I hope you grab one. If there's ever anything I can do for you, I want to be able to do for you. But if you notice on the back also is the Vietnam Commemoration website. If you are part of an organization or group and you want to do some effort and work to be able to thank and honor some Vietnam veterans across this nation, I wish you'd reach out to them. But once again, I have to tell you, today I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Please be seated. Thank you, sir, for your service and wish you the very best in your retirement. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the departure of the official party. Please remain standing as the family departs. This concludes today's ceremony. Thank you for your attendance. You all are invited to join the receiving line towards the back center doors. Please stop by to wish Mr. and Mrs. Rhodes farewell and join his family for some refreshments in the hall. Yes, ma'am.